Hello and welcome to Feedstuffs 365 and National Hog Farmer. I'm Ann Hess. Producers have been involved in market growth initiatives for many years, and this ongoing work has helped drive demand for U.S. pork. Joining us today to share a few examples of how the checkoff has consistently added value over time are Heather Hill, a past president of National Pork Board and a producer from Indiana, and Bob Ruth, a current board member and past president. Welcome, Heather and Bob, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Ann. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Before we jump into today's discussion, I'd like to remind the audience tuning in, you can post your questions there in the chat, or if you're tuning in via social media, you can post those there in the comments. So, Bob, let's start with you. We hear from Checkoff research that, pork consumption is declining with our younger consumers. Tell us more about this research and maybe an example of how younger consumers are seeing pork differently.
Well, it's a great point, Ann, and what through the work that we've done at the Pork Board, looking at different segmentations of the market and how people view pork, we've seen that the younger generation is definitely not looking at pork as a major protein in their diet, and although you take our generation and you look at pork consumption over the last 50 years, it's been relatively stagnant. And hopefully we don't fall asleep with that. And that's why we've been banging the drum for demand, because we feel like if we don't do anything, that we're going to get to that cliff when the new generation comes, and then pork consumption is going to dive, which is something that we've never seen. And so it's very important that as we bang the drum for demand, that we get our producer base and we get our retailers and food service operators and our packer partners along with us.
Yeah, when we talk about consumers, but where's retail? Where do they come in? Heather, maybe you could explain some of those partnerships and how they could maybe help improve demand.
Yes, the partnerships that we have with our partners in the value chain are extremely critical to helping to for this to gain momentum and traction. Some simple ways that we're able to do it is through our consumer segmentation. We know where specific consumers are shopping. And so we've been able to do different partnerships with specific retailers with their customers that fit a certain demographic to really, push certain recipes and certain cuts, which can really drive repeat business and new business. And we've seen those promotions to be very successful. We've done that in certain markets and expanded. And so, utilizing apps of certain retailers is extremely successful. I think as we navigate this post-COVID world, a lot of us are using apps differently. I know personally, I dread going in the grocery store anymore. And if I have a lot to buy, I'm buying it on my app. I mean, not only from convenience and not having to go to the store, but I can start adding things as they appear on my grocery list. And so, if you can send a targeted ad to someone that has maybe looked at pork or fits a certain demographic, that's been very successful with certain retailers. We've also been able to, work with different retailers on specific promotions. In the past, right after COVID, we saw a lot of success with ground pork, which essentially has been around forever, but never been something that was truly successful or promoted like you have seen other products. And so we saw a lot of success with that. But our partners in the value chain, whether that's the retailer, whether that's the packer, all of that is extremely critical. We have to have buy-in from the producer level all the way to the end consumer, because ultimately it's to benefit all of us that we are targeting these consumers where they're at and really hitting on that taste and flavor of pork. I mean, that's where pork's at. And so if we can find different ways to connect with different consumers, whether it's the preparation or the cut, or, how they prepare it, all of that matters.
So jumping on top of that to support that, a great example of that is with the work that we've done with Walmart around the Copa steak. And it kind of ties everything together, and of just exactly what we've been talking about. So the Copa steak is a Hispanic cut of meat that's very popular. And so we convinced Walmart to bring that in. It's part of the shoulder. It's very tasty and good dish that you can find everywhere outside the U.S. in South America, Spain, and those places. So we ran the promotion with them, and it's been a wild success for Walmart. Okay, now. And Heather points this out at times. Now, we won't see that in the Midwest because a lot of these promotions where the multicultural people are along the coasts. So, we don't want our producers to get discouraged because they don't see the Copa steak, because we're not the people that are going to buy those. It's going to be the people along the coast. But that's exactly the focus that we need to have to drive the demand of pork products throughout the U.S.
Yeah, that communication is definitely key. If I was going to say, I don't think I've seen that promotion going on in my neck of the woods. But, Bob, as you reflect on your time volunteering with the Checkoff, has there been anything that's been consistent, you'd say, as it relates to market growth?
Well, one of the things, and I guess these are cautions that I give to our producers and to our board and that sort of thing, is that, the demand push is not something, Ann, that you're going to see like light a match and it's going to happen immediately. It's going to take a long, long time, for these types of programs to develop the momentum to increase the per capita consumption of pork and to see our market share start coming back. And the best example that I use of that is the chicken wing. When I was a young man, they used to throw chicken wings away. Okay. And, there was a place in Buffalo that started, had the chicken wing, but, it took a long time for the chicken wing to develop and to help the chicken industry, grow their market share and that sort of thing. So I always preach patience with our producers, because it's going to be a long, tough road. And, prices are going to go up, prices are going to go down, but we need to continue to focus on demand to make sure that we keep that momentum going.
Absolutely. Heather, how has research been involved in this market growth work?
Research has played a huge role. Obviously, research is one of the three main components of National Pork Board, promotion, education, and research. And, I think we've really, in my time that I served on the board, really kind of, in addition to doing research that would have benefited producers directly at the farm, have really dove into this consumer research. And that's how we've been able to find out information about how different cultures buy pork, how different generations. We've actually just been diving into consumer segmentation, which has allowed us to kind of break up meat buyers into 7 different categories and really target in on all, different specific categories with specific target tactics for that. If you're a confident meat eater, we're going to market to you differently than if you're what we would call a simple feeder, someone that's just wants to get food on the table for their family. And, we all kind of can fall into different categories at different times, but at the root of it, consumers fall into one of those segments. And so the research we have is, unbelievable, and how we've been able to drill it down and really be able to specifically focus on certain segments of the market is unbelievable. And I think as pork producers, we should be very proud that our Checkoff dollars have been invested in that type of research and that quality of research. We've shared some of that research with our packer partners and retailers, and they are just blown away with what we are able to share with them and how that can truly revolutionize how we are marketing pork and changing demand going forward.
Yeah, that consumer segmentation, I know I look at it and I think I fall into a few of them, but I think you guys have a quiz that I probably need to take to see exactly where I would fall. Bob, we've talked a lot about domestic market development today, but, international continues to be a success story through the past few years. I know you were just at the USMEF conference talking about some of those efforts. Tell us how the Checkoff is adding value beyond price in the international market.
Well, and again, and that just goes to support what I was talking about the power of the pork protein throughout the world. And of course, we are a big supporter of USMEF. and it's one of the best values that we bring to our pork producers, because every dollar that we put in, the USDA matches that contribution. But USMEF is a marvelous organization that really brings about looking at how to build value of American pork throughout the world. And boy, I don't really have to say much, because the numbers that they keep putting on the board speak for themselves. Continuing to build value and to continuing to build growth in the marketplace. But there again, there are some things that we can learn from them, because they're doing a lot of the meat cuts and those sorts of things. In fact, just at there were two products at the meeting that I was just at in Tucson. The Boston Butt Burger, the BBB. So it's a premium burger. Heather already mentioned ground pork, but this is a premium burger that they're bringing to South America, and man, it's blowing. It's really blowing the market out of the place. And so we could learn some premium cuts and different things like that. And then they had a rotisserie that was made out of the rib end, and that is an area that we've had difficulty penetrating with the loin, but that rib end may just be the piece that we need to get into that rotisserie side of the business. So great partnership. We continue to develop that, and I can't say enough about the job that they do for our international marketplace and for producers here at home.
Yeah, those two products sound great. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on them.
Amen.
Yeah. As we wrap up our discussion here today, anything else you want to share, key takeaways for our audience? Heather, let's start with you.
Well, I think a key takeaway, as I look to my fellow producers, is to Bob's earlier point. We aren't necessarily going to see these special cuts. I mean, if they completely take off, hopefully someday we will. But as we initially go, we aren't the demographic we're marketing to. We already are eating a lot of pork and will continue to do so. And so I just ask my producers to, if you aren't seeing it, ask questions, reach out to your pork board members, to see, what they're hearing, what they're seeing, because just because you maybe aren't seeing, it's not happening. I mean, this is truly life-changing work that we are going to be doing for our industry. And it's so super exciting that, I'm so excited that I want our producers to know. And I would also, in that same vein, encourage our producers to get involved, whether it's at the state, local, national level. If people aren't willing to step forward, we can't do exciting initiatives like this. And so, get involved, be patient. It's going to take time, as Bob said, but also remember, we maybe aren't the people we're marketing to.
Bob?
Yeah, I would guess patience, as I mentioned earlier, and determination to drive demand. The price is going to go up, the price is going to go down, but we need to continue to keep our foot on the accelerator for demand. If the price is good, we don't need to back off. And if the price is bad, we don't need to back off. We need to keep that determination. And so I would ask for patience out of our pork producers. I would also ask for that participation. You don't realize the power that you have as a pork producer, not only in your local community, but to our packer processors, to the retailer, to the food service operator. So get involved. Your voice matters, especially, again, internationally. They are so interested in how you do things and how you produce the quality of product that you make. So you've got more power than you realize, and we need you to energize and help us get that word across. And then last but not least, I think unity. That's the other thing that we've been doing, is working with different, organizations to try to work together for the betterment of agriculture, because a rising tide lifts all ships. And so unity is another thing that we have to do in agriculture, sticking together and working together on the priorities that we have.
Very good. It's get involved, be patient, stay determined, and work together. Heather Hill and Bob Ruth, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insight.
Thanks for having us, Ann.
Thank you.
For you and our audience, we thank you for tuning in. For more coverage and conversations on pork industry related topics, be sure to check out the live and on demand section of Feedstuffs 365. For Feedstuffs 365 and National Hog Farmer, I'm Ann Hess.